Hi, and welcome to Source Seers. I'm Love.
And I'm Tylynn. We're two Los Angeles-based witches who were brought together by fate with one mission.
To translate wisdom from Source and provide spiritual knowledge for the collective.
We're here to explore psychic stories, pop culture predictions, trauma healing, ancient knowledge, astrology, tarot, and so much more.
Source Seers is here to shine the spotlight on how the mystical realms are interwoven into the very fabric of our everyday lives.
Yeah!
And there are some weird echoes. I think I dropped my my microphone and I need to get a new one because something on the inside is not working anymore. So there are some weird echoes that you might notice throughout this episode. You can still listen to it. It just sounds like a slight echo. I've thrown some effects on it, but it doesn't really help too much. So please bear with us in the next episodes after I get a new one, and we should have this audio issue cleared up. But nonetheless, the information persists. Enjoy the podcast. Bye.
Welcome back.
Aloha.
Hey, Source Seers.
Yes. So we are very excited today because we are covering pop culture stuff. So we are going to try to talk about 2/3 different topics in one episode for astrology. But we want to start this. So we're going to cover like pop culture stuff with astrology, which we'll cover today. That we're going to cover Blake Lively and the shenanigans scandal around her currently. If you aren't aware, we'll get into that. And then we wanted to try out, so let us know how you like it, doing astrology episodes where we talk about the person's astrology, but we don't let you know who it is until the end. So like you can test out your astrology skills and your pop culture skills. And yeah, I feel like that'd be fun. Like where you're like, who is it? What are they? Well, wait, do I know
Mystery
it now? Have I figured it
chart.
out now by this thing? I feel like these ones might, and they're topical. So it's like newer people who've been like relevant. So it's not like some random person from like 50 years ago that died or something like that. But we might cover one of
I mean,
those
I'm
things.
so down
Yeah,
to like...
I'm speaking too soon.
Yeah, I'm so down to get
right
into
now,
the charts.
it's not an esoteric, but soon we're going to be covering Plato.
Yeah.
Frickin'.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. That's a sick idea, right? So,
I'm so here for that. Because these people that we're covering today, I don't know too much about. This is going to be Love's domain to share.
I feel like it's a little of both, though, because the Blake Lively thing is like, you're interested in that. You were like,
well,
oh my God.
I just thought it'd be fun since we really wanted to make this podcast like all over the place, right? With education, spiritual topics, our own stories. And this has just been coming up in the field, right? Of this Blake Lively.
That's true.
Drama. So it's like, you know what?
Let's do it. Let's put them on blast.
Talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
While knowing we don't know these people, we don't really know the true story.
Yeah, but we pulled up their charts, so we know them now. That's how I feel.
We know their soul.
Scorpio North
Blake Lively,
I know everything
we know
about
your
them.
soul.
What is more real than knowing someone's soul?
Oh my gosh, I know.
What is more? I know more than she knows about herself now.
Do you think she's ever seen her chart?
I think that a lot of astrologers a lot of celebrities use astrologers more than we think, because there's a lot of millionaires that like use astrology to like launch their business, to invest, to buy their house, to like all that kind of stuff. You can pick like auspicious dates. So I'm pretty sure she's at least looked at her chart. And there's probably like 75 other astrologers that have pulled up her chart, so maybe she's heard one of those videos too. If she didn't reach out for it herself. Yeah. I hope she knows her chart because she has a powerful ass chart.
She's got a stellium, like a massive second house Virgo stellium. Like everything's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, something really notable about her chart is that she has Jupiter retrograde in Aries at 29 degrees, which we talked about in our first episode because Love and I both have 0-degree placements, but the 29th degree is like, we call it the anaretic degree. So it's this karmic frequency of this lifetime. There is the final squeeze of that juice. You're really learning this karmic lesson. And
usually for people, it's like, you either are really good because you've done most of the work and you're just wrapping it up, or you get those last little like lessons kind of thrown at you.
Yes. Yeah. And this is a really big lesson around what it means for her to be in her leadership and her entrepreneurial energy and her passions, sharing her art. The 9th house is the house of teaching, higher levels of education, the house of publishing, which is interesting because, I mean, as a performer, she's published all these things into the world.
Yeah. And that's what the, like, so let's first talk about, Tylynn's just getting excited about astrology. So who is Blake Lively? For those who may or may not know, she is a actress. She has been around since early 2000s.
Yeah, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants vibes.
She became really famous for Gossip Girl. She was like the lead in Gossip
Serena
Girl.
Van der Woodsen.
Yes. And then she went on to, she did Gone Girl, right?
Actually, I never saw that.
Oh, I think, let me fact check myself before I, because I saw that movie but once. Gone Girl. I think she was in it. Cast.
I'm not sure, like, everything she's been in.
Nope, I lied. Don't listen to me. Okay, let me just
pull
up
Gone Girl.
She's like, what am I thinking of that she was in?
Fact check.
I'm just gonna.
At least
it said Gone
check.
Girl. What the hell? Okay. let me. Oh, now she's having beef with Taylor Swift.
Wait, I thought they were friends. Wait,
Taylor. Oh no, Taylor Swift believes Blake Lively manipulated her in the Justin Baldoni war. Yeah, she's having beef with her. 2 hours ago, that was published. Breaking news.
Wait, what's the beef? Okay, now we have to let our listeners know. What's the beef?
Okay, well, first let me finish what I was please. Okay, Gossip Girl. The current thing that's having the drama is It Ends With Us. Yes. And that's a movie that came out literally like at the end of, or middle end of last year.
Did you watch it?
No.
Okay.
I don't like to watch sexual assault stuff because I've already lived it, so...
It also wasn't depicted in a way that I feel like is accurate to that actual experience of going through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like other... those are her biggest things that she's been in, but she's been in like a lot of different movies and shows. Mostly movies, though.
A Simple Favor, too, which
it says she was in Green Lantern.
Are gonna make a second one of A Simple Favor. I don't know when the second one's coming out, but...
Yeah, she's in The Shallows.
The Green Lantern, that was where she met her husband, Ryan
yes,
Reynolds.
That's where her and Ryan Reynolds, they were acting together and they fell in love. Similar to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, my childhood crush.
Childhood crush.
She's still hot, but like I thought she was so hot.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Mine was Keke Palmer and still is.
Damn. Damn. That's a good one. I feel like she's getting better with age. I like her more now from like the Nope movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I actually like her better now.
Oh my gosh. And Nope.
You know what though? Let me make you jealous. You know the movie Akilah and the Bee? I know you do. That was like her first movie. The
oh my gosh, I feel like I've seen it, but so long ago.
That was filmed at my middle school.
What? Love just winked at me.
That was a big deal when it came out. We were like, oh my god, Portola Middle School. Oh my god. Yeah, so she's been in Green Lantern. That probably most people will know if they've seen Green Lantern. Okay, so Blake Lively recently did that movie, It Ends With Us. The
Accepted movie. Josh showed me a clip recently.
Oh, that movie I've seen. It's like a Comedy Central movie.
I haven't seen it, but he showed me a clip where...
She was like the love interest.
She was like... They were talking about how they're geeks, right? And nerds. Yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm such a geek because I like got dressed up and I put on this disguise and followed this guy. And they were looking at her like, that doesn't make you a geek. Like, what are you saying? Like, you're a nerd if you, I don't know, I feel like you're a nerd if you love to study and think about the nature of this universe and
people interchange geek and nerd incorrectly. Nerd is like if you're like book smarts.
I'm definitely a nerd.
And geek is if you like sci-fi and like video games and stuff. But everyone just calls it nerd. So, because usually if you're a bookworm, you like the other stuff too.
Yeah. But they were like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. There's a character on Southern Charm. It's a reality TV show, and she's like this model, and that has now retired. And she's like, oh, you guys get to see like my nerd stuff. And she's like literally playing like an orchestral instrument in like a show at their like local like theater. And she's like, oh, it's like my nerd stuff. And I'm like, okay, stop trying to be a nerd. Like, you're a musical performer. You're a professional performer. Like, don't make it sound like it's nerd stuff. Like, it was just weird to me. I was like, well, how is this nerd? Like, stop trying. It's like she wants to be like a nerd. She's like, oh, I'm different. And like, you're a model who plays a musical instrument. That makes you like the least nerdy thing ever.
That was kind of the same vibe, though.
That's why I'm saying it's like people who like don't really know, but they're like, oh, I'm so quirky and they're so weird, and it's like, you're not that weird. Like, calm down. I have a lot of feelings.
Walk a mile in my shoes, babe. Like,
walk a mile in these Louboutins.
Louboutins, okay. Doc Martens, baby.
So I have not seen this movie, so I'm going to read the overview for those of us who are also like me, just following along. So in This Is Us, this is the overview from Google. Lily Bloom moves to Boston to chase her lifelong dream of opening her own business. A chance meeting with charming neurosurgeon Ryle Kincaid soon sparks an intense connection, but as the two fall deeply in love, she begins to see sides of Ryle that remind her of her parents' relationship. When Lily's first love, Atlas Corrigan, suddenly re-enters her life, her relationship with Ryle gets upended, leaving her with an impossible choice. And so this is like based on a book or a true story or something?
It's on a book.
On a book? Okay. Yeah. And there's supposed to be like sexual, like assault or sexual violence.
Yeah, domestic violence.
And that's like the part that how it was depicted. And then she started to get like flack for like when they did the press junkets and she was doing the interviews, how she was like laughing about it and stuff. Yeah. And people were like, yo, this should be taken seriously.
Yeah, she's talking about like the costumes and come with all your friends and like wear your florals and
and it's like this is a movie with a serious tone that's like triggering for some people,
but apparently she actually never read the book, which really shows in the movie.
I feel like she's that kind of famous now.
Yeah,
you know, it's like I don't really need to know what I'm doing, I just do it. I think so. I mean, she's married to Ryan Reynolds. Like,
if you are an actress, you are depicting a character. If your character had a whole book behind the story, like, wouldn't you want to dive into the backstory, to know more about your character, to know more about their mindset, about how they move through the worlds? Like,
I guess it depends on like their process, and then also how the movie, because you know, like when they adapt books to film, sometimes they like just completely like have a different direct. They're like, we want the character to appear more, especially like on film, because they want it to be attractive to people. So it's like they'll cast like prettier people, or like they'll make you act sexier and things like that. So I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, but yes, she should have probably done her homework for a serious, like if it's not just like for fun, you know, it's like it's a serious topic. Like you want to do it like the justice that it deserves. Yeah, so that's kind of where this like scandal started, right? It's like she was getting a lot of flack for like how she was promoting it and avoiding the truth of like this could be a great teachable moment to raise awareness about sexual assault and like the seriousness of it and like all that kind of stuff. And
I guess there was like, I'm not sure if this is true, but like something within the contract where they weren't allowed to say that. I'm not sure what the deeper
that's what they were claiming, and they're saying that like they weren't allowed to talk about those topics. But they're trying to keep it light and fun because that's what they were told.
If this is what the story is about, you're right. It's a beautiful opportunity to raise awareness on this topic because unfortunately, like I experienced that for years of my life. I know lots of women that experience that. It's it is wild how many people experience.
Yeah, it's like
that,
more
like,
people have that as their truth than is depicted.
Yeah, and that's why, to me, she didn't do it justice the way that you experience that when you're going through it. I mean, even like how it ended, and also the dynamics with the man. When you are with someone who is an abusive person, the abusive person typically will do everything that they can to isolate you so that you are away from your friends and family. They will do everything they can to emotionally manipulate you. And they typically don't walk away so easily. Like,
it's hard. It changes your brain chemistry in some in some ways, shapes, forms. You become like scared, paranoid. You don't feel like you have power. Like, physically you could be, you know, like going through it, depending upon what type of abuse it is. Like, there's a lot of psychological and physical stress that you go under, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. And like, people were like really upset about how she was just like, yeah, bring your friends, like bring your girlfriends, come see this movie. It's like, I want to come with my girlfriends to watch like sexual assault. Like, that's fun. No. So weird. Okay, so let's continue in the timeline. So that happened. She got the backlash, and then didn't she like turn the narrative and say like that it was her co-star's like problem? Like, that's why it was like
so
that?
I think they were trying to depict that he was being sort of abusive to her, in the sense of like saying derogatory things to her, going into her trailer while she's breastfeeding, like things like that.
Like making it like an uncomfortable work environment for her.
Yes, making it an uncomfortable work environment.
Okay.
The theory that I've heard is that she ended up having a crush on him, and like there was sort of chemistry there.
Yes.
But he kind of shut her down, and she didn't like that feeling of being shut down. And also,
and she's also married.
I've heard that Ryan is very like possessive and a little bit controlling.
And also like the way that her and Ryan Reynolds got together is by co-starring on a movie together. So I'm sure he probably has that seed in the back of his head, like, well, it happened once, you know? Like, it's like if you know that your partner cheated, you're like, it could happen again, you know, type of thing. So yeah, I'm reading like the Google. It says that Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against her co-star Justin Baldoni and the movie's director for alleged sexual harassment. And then rumors of tension on set surfaced before the lawsuit, which is what you were just talking about. And then the lawsuits have been filed alleging defamation and smear campaigns, I think, from her co-star, Justin Baldoni. Like, he, like, kind of countersued her and was like, hey, this is defamation of character. I did not do those things that you're claiming that I did. That's a complete lie. And then he kind of doubled down and said, actually, it was you, right? Didn't he, like, pointed it at her?
Yeah, I heard that there were like voice notes and emails that were being released. I haven't really dove into what that means or what's in those voice notes and messages back and forth to one another. Because again, I don't know these people. I don't really know the real story. I just know like what I've seen, what's come into my field around this. But it does feel like there is a lot of drama that is happening here.
And it literally says the movie has been criticized for glamorizing domestic abuse. And it literally...
says that on Google?
Yeah, and it says that some people have expressed concern that the movie could be damaging for young people who may not be able to recognize signs of abuse. Like, they might watch it and think it's okay.
Yeah.
So...
Well, especially the way that it's depicted of, like, they'll show the scene of like something is happening that starts to get abusive, but then it's like they won't actually show what goes on, and then it's like this blurry kind of feeling. And it's like, no, when you're in an abusive dynamic, you know when you're getting like punched in the gut, like, you know when you have a black eye that you can't go to work for weeks, like like
Okay, so she sued him for sexually harassing her and alleging that he orchestrated a smear campaign on set against her. And then his lawyer said, no, that's not true. And she's just trying to fix her negative reputation. And this is from an article from like December, so it's like recent-ish. But there's updates to it because it says in January. So yeah, Justin Baldoni's production company bought the rights to that movie. So that's why it's like more of a big deal for him, because it's not just an actor. He's like part of this. Yeah. I'm reading. Sorry.
I have seen a lot of TikTok clips talking about Justin's character. And people just sharing like their personal experiences working with him. I guess he has his own podcast, and there's been like an overwhelming amount of people just sharing that they love his character and think he has good vibes. Again, I don't know these people. I don't know the truth. But there's that, and then I've also seen like clips of people talking about their experiences with Blake Lively.
Yeah, I saw someone from Gossip Girl came out and was like, Blake Lively was unpleasant to work with on set because she was just burping and farting in between takes. And I'm like, so she's just human? Like, people are just like, yeah, and another thing. Like, she sucks because she farted. What the fuck? So stupid of me. People are really bizarre.
I have not seen that. That's hilarious.
I came up on like my Google News, like as like an article thing. I was like, girl, this is what we're talking about now? Like burps and farts? Like, my God.
No, I've seen ones where like, I guess she's just made people cry and like,
yeah, I've heard stuff like that before too. And like Ryan Reynolds kind of has that reputation too. So
but it's also like them. If she's in her vibe working, like she's probably just focused in her zone of genius.
Yeah, because there's like male actors like Jack Nicholson who do that, and like no one like puts a smear campaign. They're just like, they're weird and they're like that, and just give them their space.
He's genuinely scary to me. I would love to do, but so I forgot
to tell you. This is an exclusive. I'll have to confirm with my sister before we fully cover this. So my dad and my aunt worked in the movie industry. So when I was a kid, I went to a party at Danny DeVito's house.
Oh, yeah.
And Jack Nicholson was there. And I wanted to take a photo with Jack Nicholson. And my sister is 16 years older than me. So she was like the older one. I was like young. Like, I don't really remember it. This is what my sister tells me. And he was like, I'm not doing photos. Like, there was someone that was doing like photos and stuff. But like, I didn't know who they were and I didn't give a shit about them. And
wait, have you seen The Shining at that point?
No, I knew him from like Batman, like as the Joker and stuff like that. And we kept asking him for the signature, and he was like, "Get the F out of here." And so my sister, she's my stepsister, her mother was there because my dad and her were married at the time, and she like told off Jack Nicholson, was like, "Look, it's a child. Like, they just want to take a photo with you. Like, just take a photo with them. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is."
Wait, you have this photo?
I'm gonna ask my sister because
Sourceers, you will see this photo.
I'm gonna ask my sister because I only remember like my dad would always be like, yeah, you went to Danny DeVito's house when you were a kid, and I'm like, really? Because I don't remember. And then so I was like asking my sister, and she's like, oh yeah, and another thing, like, didn't Jack Nicholson was there? And I'm like, wait, hold on. So I need to ask her again.
What?
But yeah, definitely like growing up in LA, so many celebrity. We'll have to do like another whole other thing for all the celebrities that I've met.
Sightings.
I met Angelina Jolie, my crush. I manifested that shit. On a plane too, to New York. So it's like, you are here with me for 6 hours. I'm just kidding. I was a kid. I was like, oh my God. So anyways, we're getting on topic.
Oh my God.
Celebrities are funny. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure. So there is, on December 21st, there was a precursor to the lawsuit. There's like all these complaints. She complained severe emotional distress, toxic production, because it's his production company too. And then Justin Baldoni, like, they were given a list of demands from Blake Lively and her team, which asked him to refrain from discussing his previous pornography addiction, sexual conquests, and cast and crew's genitalia. Like, And then the document also claimed that Justin Baldoni was told no more adding of sex scenes or oral sex or on-camera climaxing by Blake Lively. So it's like they're like they're trying to like build a campaign that like it was bad during the filming and all these things. Yeah, and here, this is what you're talking about, coming into the dressing room uninvited.
Yeah, the intimacy coordinator thing is interesting, too, because she claims that she was the intimacy coordinator.
Which is highly irregular, I feel. Like if you're acting, you shouldn't be.
And the intimacy coordinator at the same time.
And they didn't have one, which is probably why all of this shit is happening.
I feel like that's crucial.
For sex scene, any sex scene, there should be one.
It's just like a fighting scene.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
It's a dance. It's a flow.
It's not as sexy like in real life. It's like you're in a room and you have like weird covers on your body and there's like 20 plus other people around you looking at you all quiet while you're like trying to pretend to have a good time. It's so weird.
Well, I think some people you can feel there's like a palpable, I don't know, just like vibe between them, and maybe that's because they've had relations off camera. That's
the theory, right? Yeah. Or maybe we should pull up his chart.
Do we have his birth time? Okay, let me while you continue, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Okay. So then, Justin Baldoni pushed back in a $250,000 million lawsuit against the New York Times as well, because all the defamation of character, because a lot of people were coming out in support of her. And so he was like, yo, this is a false narrative. It's out of context. It's cherry picking. And the New York Times story like solely relied on like Blake Lively's narrative and not mine. Like, that's not fair. And he alleged that I don't know if it's Ryan. No, it's probably, yeah, I guess Ryan Reynolds aggressively berated him during a meeting, accusing him of fat shaming Blake Lively. God. I want to be a fly on the wall. And yeah, the vicious smear campaign against him and his production company. Yeah. In an updated statement from January 2nd, the reporters on the story sought comment from Baldoni and others to identify what they felt was inaccurate. And then they just didn't provide anything further. And then Blake Lively sued Justin Baldoni and his production company for sexual harassment. And I think he's like countersuing them. And then I also heard that now Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are like trying to like get rid of the lawsuit, like to sweep it under the rug, because basically everyone
she's getting another lawsuit with another company suing her,
another PR company, and then now Taylor Swift is getting drawn into this, so it's like the Taylor Swifties are gonna come after her, because I've just heard people saying like basically Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's careers are cooked, you know, like how are you going to come back from this scandal? Like, think it like either option. It's like if they win and they're victorious, there's still this like icky energy around them that like people just, they kind of distance themselves from. And if they don't win, then it's like, oh, well, or if they drop it, then it's like no one knows who to trust or like what was true. And like, and then if it is true, then no one's going to want to work with you because they're going to be afraid that you're going to like sue them or say something. Like, I don't know. That's just so messy. That's the tricky
part of all of this. It's like we're all outsiders looking in on this drama and attempting to uncover the truth, to shift through the illusions. And that's the thing with a story. It has multiple angles. Everyone has their own unique perception and truth. But then there is also an overarching truth that is like the grounded reality. And that's what I want to know. I mean, what Sourceers, if any of you out there are like really in tune with this situation, all of the drama, because I feel like Love and I
Well, I just
Are-
found this like
we're
play-by-play
missing
article
pieces.
from Forbes. Thank God, Forbes. I think, yeah. So Baldoni filed a federal lawsuit against Lively and her husband and her publicist and her PR firm. That's probably the one that's suing Blake Lively now. And then that was January 16 of this year. Then on the 21st of January, Baldoni's legal team countered Lively's claims that he acted inappropriately, basically saying like that the footage proves that both actors clearly behaved within the scope of the scene and not what she had said previously. And then, okay, sorry, my partner had to leave and we didn't want that to be on the video. So then on January 27, they basically had like both the lawyers were like, prepare for trial on March 9, 2026, and that there would be a pre-trial conference to discuss all these things and the complaints from Blake Lively's team about the conduct of Justin Baldoni's lawyer. Then January 29, the Hollywood Reporter cited unnamed sources in reporting Baldoni had lost 3 jobs and hundreds of millions of dollars since Lively first filed the suit against him in December. And then one of these movie projects he was set to direct is now like not sure if he'll do it anymore.
Yikes.
And then January 30th, lawyers for Lively and Reynolds sent in a letter to Lyman, which I think he's like he's part of someone's legal team, I think. I think he might be Baldoni's lawyer. Where was I? January 29th, January 30th. That they plan to move to dismiss the lawsuit. That's what I was saying. They wanted to drop the lawsuit filed against them at the pre-trial conference scheduled for Monday, February 3rd. So they were like, oh, let's just get rid of this. And then February 1st, Baldoni's team published a whole website dedicated to supporting his lawsuit against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds that links to an amended complaint filed on January 31st and has like a timeline of events with like text messages and emails. Like he's like making the facts like available for people to see. So it might be cool to like look at that website. But then February 3rd, a New York federal judge, that's who it is. The judge is Lyman, told the lawyers for both teams that he would move up the trial date set for March 2026. And then if the case continued to be litigated in the press, meaning like there was this back and forth between everybody. And he ordered that both sides have to adhere to the professional conduct rules for the state of New York, which means that the lawyers have to stop making public comments that have substantial likelihood of tainting a jury. But he didn't sanction Baldoni's attorney, despite the claims from Blake Lively's team, that it became really close to defamation of character. And then, let's see. Oh, there's another film that she was working on that was supposed to come out, A Simple Favor 2. And then that was directed by Paul Feig. And he's on February 4th was like, no, I've worked with her for 2 movies. She's amazing. I love her. So he's like on her side. And then just yesterday, because we're filming this February 6th. So just yesterday, and TMZ asked about, Justin Baldoni's lawyer asked if they would consider deposing Taylor Swift for the trial. And he said he wouldn't rule it out, that it would be a game time decision. So that's how Taylor Swift is now like pulled into this, because I think that it's sort of like she used her as a pawn in all of this. So we might like pull her in to be like, oh, like she used me, you know, like, and that's like looks bad on her character. It basically said he would seek testimony from anyone who might have relevant information in the lawsuit. He said he didn't really call out Taylor Swift. He just said Taylor. So it's maybe not official if you don't use the last name. I don't know if you don't use the legal name.
It's definitely Taylor.
Yeah. So that's what that thing was coming up. I'm curious with the Taylor Swift. That's so fucking
Okay, yeah, we need to circle back to that because I've not heard that.
It says Taylor Swift feels used by BFF Blake Lively after being dragged into Justin Baldoni. It ends with this lawsuit. And this is like breaking because it's literally all these news are coming out today. It says he claimed in his lawsuit, Baldoni, that Blake Lively used Taylor Swift to intimidate him at a meeting with her husband about edits she made to a rooftop scene in the It Ends With Us movie. And Blake Lively compared herself to the Game of Thrones character Khaleesi. That's the narcissism you were talking about in her chart. The mother of dragons. Okay, you're not the mother of dragons. Okay. Okay. She's like a double fire sign, so she's like, I am the mother of dragons.
Wait, is she double fire?
Yeah, because she's double Leo. Or no, she's not Leo. She's Virgo with Leo rising, and
that's dope. I'm not gonna say it out loud. Okay, yeah. So she is
fire
Leo rising, but
oh yeah, never
she
double
has
Earth,
a double Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, so it says it's now been claimed that Taylor Swift resents Blake Lively for calling her one of her dragons and leveraging her name. So she's like, I'm the mother of dragons, and this is one of my dragons. Oh my god. This is like pop culture referencing pop culture. It's too much. And she said that she was blindsided over that meeting. And so the source claims that Taylor Swift came to Blake Lively's apartment when she was told by the actress and had no idea that Justin Baldoni would be there. So she kind of just like, let me bring in my team, but like didn't actually like let her know ahead of time and was like, why am I here? Why am I part of this? Like, why are you just using my name?
Yeah.
You know?
That's interesting because Blake has Chiron and Gemini in her 11th house. So networks, friendships, communities is a space of pain. Like there's some wounding there.
Yeah. And I'll cut and put her chart like when we talk, I'll put it in the screen. But yeah, so what is the astrology of this?
Oh, let's dive into it. Well, I did find Justin's chart, and what I find so fascinating, the thread between the two of them is that Justin,
oh my god, his chart is, oh my god, what the he has like everything in like,
he's got a Scorpio stellium and a Capricorn stellium. But yeah, he's a Virgo rising.
So that makes sense because Blake has like,
because Blake is a
Virgo sun, Virgo moon.
Stellium. So
Virgo Mars, Virgo.
As a Leo rising, the sun is her chart ruler. So the sun is all about our egoic expression, our identity, our sense of purpose, shining our light. But because the sun is in the lower half of the chart, it's actually considered to be a night chart in ancient astrology. And she has her sun here in Virgo, which is where she has a stellium. Yeah. And it's all in the second house, which is the house of values, belief systems. So it is interesting that she's very stubborn and sticking to her story like that. The second house is said to have very similar themes to Taurus, as Taurus also rules over
the second house.
Yeah, the values, belief systems, the connection to the material world. And that's actually where Blake has her MC up in her Taurus 10th house. Which
the MC, for those who don't know, is like the highest peak of your chart. It's like a calculation. So it's like the 10th house is our outward, our legacy, our career, what we're leaving behind, how people are perceiving us, thinking about us, like in our legacy piece. And so the MC is like the highest point of that. So it's like if you think about your chart as a mountain range, it's like the part that like everyone will see from a distance. Like it's the spot where you like shine the brightest, or you have the potential to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes. So a lot of times it speaks to our career, our status. So yeah, this stellium is insane. This Virgo second house stellium.
So sun, moon, Mars, Venus, and Mercury in Virgo in the second house.
Yes. And 2 asteroids, Nessus, who is a centaur. If you've ever seen the old cartoon Hercules movie, Nessus is the blue centaur in the lake with Meg. So Nessus is known to be the asteroid of poison and power. And the way that I have learned to develop a healthy relationship with Nessus is that Nessus can represent in our chart where are we in a healthy way obsessed, and how can we utilize that healthy sense of obsession for a sense of power, or to connect us deeper to our power. So for instance, in my own natal chart, I have Nessus in Scorpio in the 9th house, and I'm quite literally obsessed with scorpionic topics, like the realms of the occult. Mystery.
Yeah, okay.
There's that. And then the
I
other,
could see that though, like how you were saying, like she's obsessed with herself, because it's like in this house she has herself, her feelings, her communication, her feminine energy, and her masculine energy. It's like all the parts of her are there. All the personal planets basically are all there.
Her Mars are in an exact conjunction at 1 degree, and then she has the moon also here, 12th degree, Mercury here, 6th degree. But it's interesting that the sun and Mars are
because I have Virgo Mars, and like that's considered like a rough placement, because they can be like really hard on themselves and perfectionists and overthinkers and all different types of stuff. But like I feel like having it conjunct with your sun, it's like it's just giving you permission, like you're correct. Like I feel like that energy where it's like I feel like I am right, and like maybe people even perceive me as correct, right? Because the sun is like how people perceive us. So it's like when I act, people accept my perceptions. They align with my perception or what my actions are. Like I don't know. That's definitely what I'm getting.
Because it's when the sun and Mars are in a conjunction. Again, the sun is our light, and Mars is our physicality. It's our drive. It's our motivation. Yeah. And so those two together are saying, like, go towards like your bigger purpose and mission, which then can have that quality of, all right, everyone, follow along. Like this Martian
I trust
drive.
Myself. I'm going to keep going. I'm giving myself permission. And I feel like the characters that she plays like have that vibe too. Like Gossip Girl, like her character Serena, like she always gets in trouble for just acting however she wants to act and causing like a bunch of like bullshit behind her, but then feeling like, oh, I'm doing what feels morally correct because I'm following like my truth or what feels like correct to me. And it's like, well, you hurt like 7 people in the process of doing that. Like that's very...
But that's Martian energy. Mars in ancient astrology is known to sever things. Quite literally. That's why in the tarot we see the card for Mars as the Tower card. Literally, the top of the tower is severed off. Yeah. So there is that cutting, that sharp quality that Martian energy has. And then the Virgo energy is exactly that. The hyperfixating, the hypercritical. The way I love to describe Virgo, it's a mutable earth sign. So it's like a crystal that you take from the earth, but then it's a clear crystal. It's cut from all these different ways, so you can look at it and see it from all these different angles and perceptions. And that is Virgo energy. It's always seeking to analyze. And that's what is so fascinating about both of them having the Virgo placement, is that could suggest then that they're both detail oriented and both coming in with the receipts. Yes. Or the
for sure.
the proof.
And you know what? Like all of her personal planets are here. And if he has Virgo rising, it's like in the synastry, when we look at their charts on top of each other, like she helps him step more into himself. Yep. And he like emboldens those aspects of her. He emboldens like how people perceive her, how she takes action, how she's speaking. So it's like they could have definitely had like sexual chemistry from that placement alone, like from that piece.
Definitely definitely.
And he has so much
that.
Scorpio energy. So he has a Scorpio stellium. Scorpio rules the genitals in the body. Like Scorpio.
Rejoicing moon. Third
Yes.
house.
Like Scorpio is traditionally ruled by Mars. And I do traditional rulers. I think you do as well. So sorry for those who are like, what? It's supposed to be Pluto. I'm sorry. I don't believe you.
I can mix. I like to blend, but I will go more towards Mars.
I'm like, that's really cute. I don't agree.
Well, because even at, like, for me as a Pisces rising, like, I definitely resonate more with Jupiter as
I don't like
ruler.
the Neptune. Yeah. I just feel like when they try and make Scorpio ruled by the modern ruler of Pluto or Pisces with Neptune, it feels like, ooh, reaching, like you're trying to make things fit that seem like they work. And it's like Plutonian energy is very similar to Scorpionic energy, but I still think like when we look at it through Mars and through the lens of like Mars is the ruler, it makes more sense to me, like why Scorpio's energy, it's like we learn the motivation, the way that it's like put through, versus I feel like Pluto being the ruler for Scorpio, it's like same. It's like, okay, same. It's not like, it's not showing like why we're coming at it with this energy. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But when you look, so because Scorpio is naturally ruled by Mars, the Mars ruled signs Aries and Scorpio are very sexy placements. Mars ruled signs have the energy of like, oh, I really want to fuck this person, like they're really hot, like I lust for them. My favorite example for that is what is his name, Pete Davidson. He looks like a sickly like plague child. Yet everyone lusts over him. Like he pulled freaking Kim Kardashian. Like he pulled like arguably the hottest
Grande.
woman. Yes, why? Scorpio stellium. He has a Scorpio stellium. There is just something really mysterious and alluring and attractive and sexual about the Mars ruled placements. And because Scorpio rules the genitals, it's like they're often like hypersexualized. Like these people who have strong placements in them are like it's like placed on them like that they're like hypersexualized, even if they're not like trying to be sexual at all. It's like those people where they're just like eating their ice cream but they're like licking it like up and down and you're just like looking at them like, what the fuck? Like, are you like going down on your ice cream right now? And they're like, what? I'm just eating my ice cream. It's like that type of energy where it's like, oh my God, that's really hot. But they're just being themselves. Oh
my gosh, I love that. Josh is a Taurus rising, so he has Scorpio in his 7th house, Pluto and Jupiter there.
Dang.
And I'm like...
She's like, I love it. I'm eating it up.
Also, what's so interesting about Pete Davidson is that I've seen these TikToks of like bi or queer women, and there's like a theory that bi women are attracted to either like golden retriever type energy, which is like totally Josh, like golden retriever, ADHD, plays guitar, does video games, or like someone who is like mentally just like
it's like no ambitions, gamer guy at home, like, just smokes weed every day. I'm describing my ex. I also fall under the category of like bi women, except I'm just not identifying as a woman. Because I used to be a bi woman before I realized I was non-binary. So it's the same for me.
It's the same. It's all the same.
It's like bi with uterus. I have a uterus and I'm bi. So that can totally just make sense in and of itself of like having a Scorpio stellium. Yeah. And like you said, having it in the 3rd house.
Domicile in Scorpio, conjunct the moon. The moon is considered to be in detriment in Scorpio, in fall in Scorpio, because the moon exalts in the sign of Taurus.
Yeah, and that's the opposite.
And so the opposite, and that's just because, you know, the emotions are really grounded in the sign of Taurus. Like the way that I imagine the moon in Taurus is like, you've you've got your nice food, you're on a luxurious couch, you're in nice clothing, and you're just able to process and ground. Whereas Scorpio is like an ancient well that goes to the depths and like has no end. And like that's the emotion.
Every Scorpio moon person that I've met is like struggling. They struggle for like years with their emotions. I fucking love all of you.
Scorpio moons. Yes, I will go to the depths with you.
They struggle. Like I've known like practitioners, all different walks of life with people with Scorpio moon, and like it is extremely hard for them to process and release their emotions. They hold on to it. They overanalyze it. They get stuck in it. They feel like they're crazy, and then they lose their direction and they lose their way.
They also have the power of transformation.
But I feel like they get stuck. Like that's what I'm saying. A lot of them get stuck. Yeah. Like I don't think that you're like inherently like that if you have a Scorpio moon, but I just feel like a lot of these people just like really struggle to like healthily
they feel so deeply and intensely and are super nourished by the strong bonds with other people.
Yes, which can be like trauma bonding if you're not in a healthy space and you don't learn and you're not, like there's just a lot that can happen.
Yeah.
And I do feel like a lot of Scorpio moon people that have that kind of energy have had some kind of like betrayal or trauma bond or trauma or taken like some like advantage of different things like that. Like I've seen it just a lot more with Scorpio moon women, I would say, because just how it is for women in America. But yeah, his Scorpios, and that's an intense sexy energy. I feel like some people are like, well, that's too intense for me. But that's an intense energy to have your Mars and your moon like right.
And Pluto's also there.
Yeah, and Pluto
that has an intense energy.
Everything. Yeah, it times 5 intenses that. And then having the Scorpio Mars, it's like his masculine energy, how he moves is like that sexy Scorpio. Like you could see he even has like the darker complexion, like the kind of vampire-y like kind of vibe.
Yeah, with people that have Mars and the moon in a conjunction, their emotional body and their physical body, their drive, their motivation is intertwined.
Yep.
So if their emotions are feeling so low, their body's also not going to have the drive.
Yeah.
But if they're so into something, if there's that level of intensity and passion that's there, then that Martian energy, especially domicile, is just going to drive you to complete that task because this is a fixed energy.
Yes.
So it has the ability and the capacity to actually follow through with things and projects. Mm-hmm. And something else that I think is just really fascinating about his chart is look at this Venus placement, 29 degrees of Sagittarius in his 4th house.
Oh.
I feel like...
Wants a family, doesn't want a family.
What is happening there? Well, also, he has a South Node conjunct Uranus here. So I feel like he has had lots of ups and downs.
Sudden expansions and contractions, changes in family values, views
space.
Of home,
this is
ancestral, like lots of that.
Yeah, like this is like a past life indication that his soul has had many lifetimes where he's just had to make a home wherever he was, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like a nomadic frequency. Also the experience of losing everything.
Yeah. Like, and that makes sense with the Venus in the 29 degree, like the nomadic, because the Sagittarius Venus, they love their independence.
Yes.
They often don't like to be tied down. They love to experience new things, explore new things. Like the tying down is like that's the biggest turnoff to that placement. They want to have their space and their independence, their freedom, their authenticity, all these pieces.
That's the Sagittarius frequency of deeper truth. And we discussed this in our first episode when we were talking a lot about our Sag placements. There is a frequency of Sagittarius where it is always seeking the deeper meaning and deeper truth. Mm-hmm. And so I see that and I'm like, this person deeply cares about the truth.
That's true.
Especially being
and that's probably why he's so pissed about this whole thing. And he made a whole website. That's so Scorpio of him. I'm going to make an entire website to share the receipts with you. Like, that's so Scorpio
Also,
Mars.
look at this. His ruling planet is Mercury. Hermes, the messenger god.
Hmm.
He has Mercury in a conjunction with Jupiter and Neptune in his 5th house of Capricorn. So when you have a Capricorn Mercury, your mind thinks about things in a way that is very practical.
Yes.
Structure
I'm going to tell you exactly
oriented.
what you need to know, nothing else.
Yes, very efficient. That is a Mercury Capricorn way of communicating. Like, it's very business oriented and very aware of the time, right? Like, they're not, Capricorn Mercury isn't going to waste your time. Like,
no. If they don't have anything to say, there's nothing to say.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're going to communicate in a way that is, again, very grounded. This is a cardinal earth sign.
Yeah.
And with Jupiter and Neptune there, you know, there is also frequency of Jupiter expanding his voice, right? Anything that Jupiter touches expands. And there's also truth here, right? Jupiter is the energy of truth.
So that probably also pisses him off when people tell him he's not telling the truth and he doesn't believe that.
Oof. Yeah, especially around his art, because guess what? It's the 5th house.
Is art.
Which is the house of art.
I love astrology.
Oh my gosh.
But he has like so much like oppositional energy between his sun and all of his Scorpio placements, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. So in astrology, there are 3 modalities: cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And if you have something in the same modality, typically there is a square aspect between these planetary energies. Obviously, it's not always like that, depending on the degree.
It's literally math. It's literally just math. I swear. It's degrees and angles. What teacher? Why are we using this? Astrology.
Yeah,
That's
we'll have to do, again, educational episodes where we break all of these things down. If you're listening, like,
we can do like, let's
what
get
are
angular,
they saying?
angular.
But yeah, this square is fascinating because the sun is considered to be in detriment in the sign of Aquarius because it's at home in Leo, which is where Blake Lively has her ascendant. And the sun is at home in Leo because it's a fixed fire sign that is all about like expressing oneself, expressing talents and gifts and sharing your light. Whereas in Aquarius, this to me is like the frequency of the cloud that is hovering above the bonfire that is Leo energy.
And they're like, ew, you're ruining my party.
It's like the solar light, the purpose is towards the community, towards humanitarian values, towards the bigger systematic picture. Yeah. Which is why the sun is detriment.
I'm curious what his mental mind looks like, because the Scorpio, the Aquarius, and the Virgo are a lot of like overthinking placements.
And then Neptune conjunct the mind too.
Yeah. Like, that just seems like he'd be thinking way too much. He'd be sad about a lot of stuff.
But artistry, like, I feel like he has this so he can take
processing through.
Yes, take that intensity of the emotion and pour it into beautiful art, which feels like that's a big part of his life's work, is his career.
Well, he has his North Node
in the 10th house.
Yeah.
And Vesta's there as well, conjunct his MC. So it is important for him to literally have rituals, routines around his career and bringing his career ideas to life. So I really hope this doesn't ruin his career.
And also like the Chiron in Taurus, and then Blake's MC and 10th house is Taurus.
Yeah.
Interesting. Some lessons being learned here with her kind of highlighting that through her career.
Yeah. And
then she had the one in Gemini. Wow, it was like flip-flop.
Yeah, her 11th house is Gemini with Chiron there. Yeah.
Wow.
And I feel like for him, relationship dynamics in general are a really big part of his life because his ascendant point is in the 2nd decan of Virgo, which is a decan ruled by Venus. And in the tarot relates to the 9 of Pentacles. And that frequency is really fascinating because Virgo energy is not where Venus is comfortable, right? Like she's exalted in the sign of Pisces, and so in Virgo it's
she's like no thoughts, just vibes.
Her fall, but she rules over the second decan, which to me feels like, and then seeing where that's why I brought up his Venus placement at that 29th degree, also in a conjunction with Neptune here. I feel like there's something about the experience of true relationship dynamics that is so important for him in this lifetime. So I feel like that's another reason why, like, there is the feeling of the pain that's coming up with this, of like, how could you say this about my character, kind of.
Yeah, I could totally, like,
energy.
Scorpios do not like when you misrepresent them. They do not like that.
No, because they're also, again, about the truth.
Yes,
that's why Scorpio and Sagittarius, they're right next to each other. Yeah. Like, I feel like Sagittarius amplifies the truth that Scorpio has dug up. Like,
yes. Yeah.
So
okay, so let's
go back to Blake.
Yeah.
What I find so fascinating, too, about her chart is her ascendant is in the second decan of Leo, a decan ruled by Jupiter. And that's also why I brought up Jupiter's placement also at that 29th degree.
Wow, their souls are, like, completing really important stuff for them.
Yeah.
Like, not just in the placement, but in their first house. Like, who they are is important for them to go through that, to complete that lesson.
Yes. Yeah. This is major lessons. And what's so fascinating about this is that relates to the Six of Wands in the tarot, which figures, there's a figure on there with a horse, and there's a laurel leaf crown. They're celebrating. There is a frequency of success and victory. And I feel like that is something about Blake Lively and really all of the roles she's played. And maybe this is just who she is in real life, too, where
I think a lot of her acting feels like it's the same character.
It's like things just work out for her. Like, she wants to be on that pedestal, wants to be celebrated, wants to be, like, larger than life, that Jupiterian frequency. The other thing about her first house is she has Lilith, Black Moon Lilith.
1 degree.
It's actually at 0 degrees.
Oh my. So, she's starting this. She's
cycle. That's why.
That's like the most indicative thing of this whole trial. Okay, so Lilith rules over power and independence and freedom and, like, power dynamics and like being restricted. Like, where are we being restricted in our ability to express and to like not express ourselves and our power and sexuality as well.
She's a dark goddess.
Yeah.
I always say that she is like the most wild, raw, primal versions of ourselves.
Like the dark feminine that people talk about, it's Lilith.
Yeah, and I get it. I have Lilith in my first house.
She's like the original witch.
Yeah, I have witchy energy too.
She's the first person cast out of Eden before Adam and Eve. That we always forget about her, and that like adds to the whole salt of the wound with the wounding with Lilith. Yeah. It's like, you just cast me aside and you just forgot about me. And I'm struggling here.
And then there are, energy around that of being outcasted, misunderstood.
Yes.
So there is something happening for Blake around this story of like feeling misunderstood.
Yeah.
In some capacity.
And I think her characters that she plays often have an element of that too.
Yeah.
And that speaks to what you were talking about with her being like, I'm a nerd. It's like she wants to be understood, but it's like, sweetie.
Yeah.
Not in that one. No, please. Read the room. Read the room, sweetie.
Read the room, sweetie.
I love being like extra me on this podcast.
I know, it's so fun. We are fully ourselves here.
So you said she has an earth trine in her chart.
Yeah, so she has a really special configuration, something that I also have, which is called a lucky kite aspect. So it's essentially it's a configuration with a trine and then an extra, what appears to be like a kite off of it. So it's an extra sextile to make this kite formation.
Which you'll see like on the screen. We'll put it up there.
So for her, it is the stellium that she has in her Virgo second house towards Neptune in Capricorn up to her. So it's a grand Earth trine. So this is all happening in the sign of Earth. And for those of you listening that have a grand trine, typically it is in one element. Sometimes it's not, depending on the degree. I've seen that one time,
but I mean, hers is kind of not really. It's more with her Jupiter.
Yeah, so because Jupiter's here at that 29th degree. So yeah, that's also a thing to note, that it can be with mixing elements, but typically it's in one element. So then there is an extra strength that your soul has with that element.
Yeah.
Like mine is water, which is, we talked about in the first episode, primordial essence of water. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So hers is earth, which is grounding, practical, rooted frequency. And then, it goes to both these placements in her second house, sixth house, go to her Pluto in her fourth house of Scorpio. So this placement of Pluto and Scorpio in the fourth house is a very intense karmic energy. This suggests that she has not had an easy upbringing.
No.
Like Pluto in the fourth house is like rough, very destructive, transformative. There's a lot of betrayal, power dynamics happening within family. And
that makes me think, like, was it her family growing up or her family that she has now?
Yeah. But there's also a gift here. I feel like Blake has a really beautiful gift of communing with Earth and communing with forces of the Earth. Like, I see this placement as, like, she's had many lifetimes practicing, like, druidic sorcery kind of magic, where she understands the connection with herbs and what herbs are good for what, connection with crystals. I know. I feel like with Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees, I'm like, I feel like it's a part of her journey in this lifetime to be a witch and, like...
Well, I think she definitely does that with, like, glamour magic and stuff. Like, you just see her, she always is looking stunning. She always looks just breathtaking whenever you see her.
I think that's Virgo, her Virgo stellium, though, because it's like Virgo is an energy that pays attention to the details.
Yes, I feel like a lot of Virgo people are, like, slept on, but they can be, like, really beautiful.
Oh, it's actually said that Virgo risings are said to be the prettiest people.
Yeah, and Justin Baldoni is a Virgo
rising.
I've seen that, like, lots of Virgo people, it's like they have angular features, but I find mixed with that angular mixed with other stuff, it's so gorgeous.
Yes.
It's so gorgeous.
And then the Leo risings, they're said to have, like, big beautiful hair.
She has like that long blonde, like blown out hair, or it's like messy and you're like, wow, it looks perfect somehow. That's every, like, Leo placements, like Leo rising, Leo sun especially, they have some big blown out hair. They're always, their hair has to be on point.
Yes. Well, it's a sign of vitality. And typically Leo risings have this quality where there's just life flowing through them. There is this vital life force energy that makes them magnetic, right? And some Leo risings have the frequency of, I want to dim my light, bring my light inward. I don't want anyone to see me. But in all reality, like, the truth of a Leo rising is to shine your light. And is to be big and bold and courageous. And we see that with Blake, right? Like, she's not afraid to shine her light. And like, the attention to detail is really interesting. Mercury is exalted in the sign of Virgo. So Mercury, Hermes, rules over both Gemini, Virgo, but exalts in the sign of Virgo. So I feel like she also has a way of yeah, communicating, sharing wisdom, and that could mean that she's, yeah, very, again, focused on the details and pinpointing, picking apart what you've said, and also being able to fact check of like, actually you said this and not that. Yeah.
I was looking to see
there,
like her moon and Mercury degrees,
Venus
but they're not technically conjunct.
Yeah, her moon is over here at 12 degrees.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, she does have Venus in the mix at 2 degrees.
So it's conjunct her sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Mercury at
Mars.
6.
So she has a conjunction with Venus, Mars, and Sun. Wow.
Yes. Oh, I think I forgot to say the other asteroid she has here, which is Eros, the god of erotic love and vitality.
You know what, though? I think, like, the conjunction between the Venus, Mars, and Sun, it's, like, because Mars is masculine energy, Venus is feminine, it's, like, balance almost. Yeah. Like, we're all in equilibrium because we're in the same sign.
But Venus is in her fall.
True,
and in the decan ruled by the sun. So.
But I feel like it's like her masculine and feminine energies are similar. Like they're the same frequency, same energy, and that's the one that she's putting out. Like I feel like it emboldens for the sun. So that's why we see her as just like, wow, you're just beautiful, or there's just something captivating about you type of thing. Like I don't know how to describe that feeling, but if you've looked at Blake Lively like in a fancy outfit, it's just like, whoa.
But she does have this, like, warrior-esque energy to her, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is the Martian vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm like, it's still very... Especially if Venus is in, you said, in the fall for this. So it's like, the Mars might take precedence over the Venus. Because it's like, the Venus is like, I'm kind of struggling here. And then the Mars is like, I got you.
Yeah.
And with the arrows, like you said, too, like, that's a juicy, like... sensual energy to have as well, you know?
Yep.
So
I find it so fascinating that her ruling planet is only making one harsh aspect. Everything else is like either conjunction, trine.
Yeah, she has a lot of positive energy
sextile
in her chart.
Yeah, so her only harsh aspect that for her ruling planet is her sun in Virgo. It looks like in a square to Pholus, a centaur known as the god of wine, who represents our... like ecstatic states of consciousness, which we can have through taking a substance like alcohol or any substance of the earth, or we can even alter our consciousness through breath work and dance and movement and music. That's all Pholus energy. It's like this altered state of consciousness, this blissed out state. And that energy is so fascinating because Pholus is at 29 degrees of her Taurus 10th house.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a pressure to create this like blissed out state for people within her career, or like a...
That could be why she was like, it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
You know? Unless like they did give her like, don't talk about this or don't talk about that. Like only talk about these topics or talk about it in that way.
Yeah.
Which could just negate that. But yeah.
And that's also why we see her so beautiful as well, because Taurus is a sign ruled by Venus. So the MC is how other people will just perceive your energy, because it again is the highest point of the natal chart. So it represents that status and reputation. And yeah, I feel like Taurus energy it does have that sense of beauty to it. And then the second house having a lot of Taurus placement or a lot of Taurus energy has that frequency of beauty.
Yeah.
I wonder like what she's here to build or to bring to form, because something that I love about Taurus energy and the second house is that it relates to this quality of the material realm. And when I think about the material realm, I think about how everything that we have around us, it appears to be solid. Like we could reach out, touch that thing, and it has this energy of it's solid. But if we actually look at it from a spiritual lens, which is, what this podcast is all about, sorcerers, we see that it is all just empty space and light. And so with this second house stellium, I'm looking at this like, what is her soul here to build? Because I feel like this whole lawsuit and everything happening, it just feels so far away from her soul's true purpose and work here.
I looked up her human design chart.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Does it say something about that? Like this, her ability to build?
She's a manifesting generator. So like on her design type, that means she's here to be multi-passionate, to do a lot of things, to create new things, to accomplish a lot of different things. She's a 2-4, which is called the easy breezy genius. So 2 lines are naturally gifted. Like they just wake up and they're like, I want to start painting. And then they're just like so good at it. And you're like, how did you do that? And they're like, I don't know. So she has like certain zones of genius that she's going to be really good at. And the 4 line is all about your community, your networking, who you surround yourself with greatly impacts your life. And you have a lot of influence over the people in your life. So that's why it's like an easy breezy genius. Oh, like Blake is just doing her like zone of genius, like inspiring her community, attracting her people. Especially being a celebrity like that. I feel like the community, I see it as like, it's like multi-level. It's like actually people who know her, and then other zone of influence for like people, like parasocial relationships, like people like us who are like looking at her and talking about her and stuff.
That is really interesting with the Chiron in her 11th house of like, yes, it's a wounding and a pain point, but it's also what she incarnated to heal in this life. So she can be a teacher to the community.
And then her specific purpose in this life is the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix. Ooh. So let me find I think it's this one. So this is the paragraph that's pre-written for all of the purposes. So driven by the energies in your cross, sexual desire and intimate relationships will play a foundational role in your experience this time around. Like the mythical phoenix, these energies will cycle through your lifetime through phases of taking flight, soaring, bursting into flame, and becoming ashes only to rise again. In your early years, this will be closeness to your parents and siblings. In your sexual prime, this will be more about sex and then creating your own family. In your mid to later years, this will return to more of a caretaking... Sorry, the ad that just popped up just threw me off. In your sexual prime, caretaker role for the extended family. You're here to promote the regeneration of the human species. So we talked about a lot of sexual, a lot of like stuff in her chart that totally tracks. And then her biggest gift.
That's her Saturn placement, which we didn't even get to. That's literally her karmic responsibility with the Saturn in the 5th house. That's all. The 5th house is about sexuality, pleasure, creativity.
And so her main gift, her sun gift in human design, her main gene key is gene key 59, which is called the playmate. So it's the seed energy, intimacy, and spirals of life. So it's about like creating unity, having this sensual aura that attracts a lot of things to you, this pure life force. So you're talking about the vitality from like the Leo, eagerness to give birth to creative projects, seeing like everything as connected, but wanting to break down barriers and dissolve boundaries so that we can become like unified as one. So that could make sense, like why she fell in love with her co-star. It's breaking down barriers and boundaries to create like this intense connect. We're on the same page, and that kind of makes sense. I don't know if she ever dated any of her other co-stars. That could be like a pattern for her.
I do see. So her South Node is in her Libra 3rd house. So I feel like her soul has already cultivated a sense of mastery over communication and relationship dynamics. And she's learned a lot about what it means to be in partnership. So I feel like that's something that she has as a gift, like this. And that's also Libra energy of the beauty and the aesthetics and all of that is totally Libra energy. But actually for her growth and evolution, like she's here to stand up as a leader. And
a lot of this is about that, because there's with the playmate, it's like courage to go towards the truth and to face the things that are dishonest, that are, like it's a lot, and create transmutation. Yeah, and she has the other gene key that pairs with it in her incarnation cross, and they're considered the prime yin and yang in human design. So she has that, it's spirit and dragon together.
Mars and Venus.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Wow.
And it's from the Virgo. That's where this comes from, is the Virgo. So you're right. It is the Mars and I feel like it's the Mars because they describe this one as like a masculine energy. Doesn't mean that it is, but but yeah, it's in your ovaries and your testes. That's where that gene key sits. So sexual energy. Because that makes sense. Because I feel like when I look at her, I'm like, oh. But I also have my Mars in Virgo. So it's like,
yeah.
They say that like if you have the same Venus or Mars, then it's like sexual attraction. Like in a relationship, that it shows like sexual compatibility and sexual attraction, like primal, like sexual attraction. So I probably look at her and I'm like, damn, because I have the same like Mars. Not that I don't find her like sexually attractive, but I just look at her and I'm like, there's something beautiful about her. Yeah. She's not my type. I don't really go for blondes.
I'm just like not attracted to white people in general. I feel like that's no, that's true. Like, I'm not as attracted to like white men or things like that.
Although like a lot of my celebrity crushes are white men, just because there's not as many people of color that act in the industry. But like in real life, less white men. Yeah. 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 And actually, for women, I feel like a lot more of my crushes. It's a mix. Yeah, so yeah, that's her purpose, is to rise from the ashes consistently to create this cycle of confronting, transforming, unifying, moving forward. Like a lot around like sexual energy. That makes sense why she's having multiple kids, right? Like she's creating, they say you create
Ceres, the mother goddess,
yeah,
fifth house.
Yeah, so it's like creating her family and then taking care of that family. Like, and that makes sense why this whole thing, it's like, because they came for her family. Because it's like, they came for her money, which impacts her family and her career. But then the claims that like the rumors that they're like sexually involved together, like that's home wrecking status stuff. And then now it's like, if it ruins her career, then she's not going to be able to have all the things that she's building in her home. Yeah.
Which she knows the energy of death and destruction and rebirth very well in her home space with that Pluto fourth house.
That's definitely that playmate energy for sure. Yeah. I've done I think I've done one other chart reading for someone with the cross of the sleeping phoenix, and they were a singer. So it's a lot of performing. Yeah. Because that's how we transmute. That's how we talk about what we're transmuting.
That's why this case is so, I think it's captured the public, because I feel like there are truths to both sides with now deep diving into their charts, like both of them having,
I could see them both feeling the things.
Like the Scorpio and the Virgo energy. It's like this strong level of intensity, the attention to detail, the accuracy. Yeah. Like what's actually going on here? Yeah. Because there could be truths that both of them are sharing.
Yeah, I think I would be curious. I mean, we could also psychically tap into this, but I always forget that I could do that. I want to do that at like someone in spirit.
Is it consensual though? That's the thing. That it's
you put your business out in the public eye.
Okay. So that's how you. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's celebrities, number one. Yeah. So you're already giving us consent to know at least one version of yourself. Yeah. And then your, like, legal team is, like, throwing hands in articles, so much so that a judge had to be like, yo, stop this, because you're spreading so much rumor. I feel like they're intentionally, like, because it was involved with the PR agency and with the PR of the movie, they just kept like bringing it into the public. So I feel like if you're putting this out here so publicly, that kind of gives me consent to like tap into this, because like there are plenty of lawsuits that they're not doing that, or they try to like really like, hey, like don't put this out in the public, even if it does get out there. Like I feel like the Johnny Depp one, like they wanted to keep it like under wraps for as much as possible, and then it just spilled over. But I feel like they're like almost like wanting more PR around this, because psychically it just feels like maybe they know that they won't win the case, but they can destroy him enough with dragging his name through the mud. And maybe that indicates like why he's putting all the receipts out in public, all of his Scorpio placements, because he's like, you know what, like this is the truth of it, and people will see the truth of it, at least from what he sees, right? I feel like there's something. I keep just seeing like hands grazing, like the like forbidden, like I touched your hand, like oh my god, you know, like when there's sexual tension. But I feel like there is energy with her of not. I feel like it's like I'm seeing like this isn't right, like and feeling like mix inside of here, and it doesn't feel like to the point where like they like had sex or something like that. Maybe it feels similar, like it feels as intimate. And that could have been like from the process of the nature of what they were filming and being together, and you know they showed all these different like other things that weren't really cut into the movie that were still you know filmed. Like I feel like I see her dancing and like just like having a phoenix moment of like coming out of this, which I feel like maybe her Lilith really enjoyed working in this character. But I feel like it was in her own world, and maybe it created something on the external that she wasn't maybe aware of, or you know. And I feel like Justin's intentions felt very professional, but there is something that comes up that doesn't feel so professional to me, at least. I'm just telling y'all whatever spirit is sharing with me right now, so that's why it's kind of disjointed. They're just showing like head and hands like really stressed out, and it could just be from the whole project and everything, because I feel like Justin maybe struggled a little bit with how to put this movie, like how to portray it, how to put it together. I keep hearing like like it got away from me, like it feels like it's more because of what the topics are and what it talks about. It's more than just your story and your production company. It's an age-old story that runs true for many people, both of us.
Well, I feel like Blake, from what it sounds like, was hyperfixating on the details, and it sounds like she was sort of going in and editing. Like Virgo energy is great at editing, critiquing, again, analyzing.
Yeah, if you want me to read you, please let me know.
So I feel like she was kind of going overboard with that.
It does.
And
it does feel like that.
Maybe that's why he felt like it was out of his hands. Of like,
it's like, oh, we should cut this. Oh, we should portray it this way. Oh, we should do. And I feel like he wanted to incorporate, you know, like you're the woman, you're part of this experience too. Like, but then I feel like he's like, I don't know if I agree with that. Like you're what you want, you know, and how you want to portray it.
Yeah.
And I feel like she was trying to cut. It feels like she was cutting out like the important parts, and maybe that's why the movie got like how you're saying, like we didn't see the abuse, but like maybe it would have been better if we saw it, because then it's not downplaying the nature of what is happening and being portrayed in this movie. Like we're able to see, oh, that's inappropriate. Now I get it, you know. I feel like she was very concerned with how it would be perceived, actually. Like, I feel like she didn't want it to go this way, you know?
She didn't read the book.
Yes. And I feel like she had an idea of what the character was for her and her experience. And overall, how they wanted to portray it. I feel like she was on board with that, too, at one point. But I just feel like there was a lot of, I think if she would have read the book, it actually would have made a difference, because she would have understood a lot more of the nuance or the pieces of it, and not felt like, oh, it's going to be this way or it's going to be that way. But she would know, oh, well, the people who read the book know that this is supposed to be this way. You know, like we're accurately portraying it because it's obviously a popular enough thing to be made into a movie. Like, I feel like it's as I'm describing all of these things, and you're probably listening, you're like, it's not adding up to like a definitive answer. And I do think that's similar to what you were saying. Like, it doesn't feel like one or the other. But I just think it just got all messy. They're like, now it's just, they're just showing like this big old like clusterfuck like ball of stuff, you know? It's like, now it's just messy. And now it's a life of its own. It's beyond them, yet totally real for them because it's affecting their lives and their livelihoods. And Spirit is like, don't even get me started on Ryan Reynolds. They're like, that's a whole other thing over here. I feel like his energy is very guarded, actually. I feel like he has like armor around his energy. Very strong armor. Very strong armor around his energy. Like he's
like so lighthearted and goofy and all of that. I don't feel like that's
There's been some interviews where I've seen and it's like, what the fuck? And him and Chris Pratt. When I see interviews of him, I'm like, is your wife okay, bro? Like, are you okay? Yeah, like I
I could totally see that.
I feel like when I try and like go towards his energy, they're like, you don't want to go there. Yeah. And I think that's like his energy saying to people who want to come in, don't go there, bitch.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's like I'm seeing this like red armor, which is funny because he plays like Deadpool and stuff like that. Like it's like that maroonish red leather.
I feel that way about Owen Wilson too. Like there's
interesting.
Something very guarded about his energy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson. No, I'm tapping into his energy. Sorry, everyone. There's this air silence. It feels like there's a large lake behind me, and I can only look forward. I'm not allowed to turn around and look at the lake.
Yeah, it's like...
I get you.
One time, Josh and I, we were like going through all these celebrities, and I was just kind of going through like each one of like what their mythical creature would be. And it started because of Adam Devine, and I'm like, Adam Devine is such a like metal mineral fairy archetypal energy.
Interesting.
And he was just like listing off random ones, and I got to Owen Wilson, and it was like this like dark cloud, and I felt like warlock vibes with him, but it was very like shielded.
It feels like I keep seeing like an old wooden like manor. Like it feels old.
Yeah.
It feels lineage.
Yes.
It feels like something ancestral.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can know everything about you, but we don't do it all the time. No, because like I'm like out in the shop and people are like, oh, you're psychic? Like, what's my energy? And I'm like, I'm not just reading everyone's energy over here. Like, that would be too draining. It wouldn't be, but it's just inappropriate. It's unethical.
And the game I was playing, by the way, was just a very like silly. It's because anytime I see Ben Stiller, he is a fire fairy. Like he is such a fire fairy.
I actually can see that because I got this like open arms energy, like welcoming energy.
He's so chaotic. That's that fire. Like
I feel like though he seems chaotic, but on the inside it doesn't feel chaotic to him. Like he understands or whatever. Sorry.
But I also feel when I see people that have like fairy elemental energy, and maybe that is because of my own like elemental connection to water. Like it's so easy for me to pinpoint like souls that have that element, like Adam Devine. Like he has something with minerals, like metal. Like it's I feel it like in my soul. It's like so odd.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I do like people's spirit guides, like there's a lot, like you can, like people have like fairies on their spirit team, like you can tell like based off their personality, like it's what you would expect. It's literally like a stereotype. It's like the bubbly, cute, fun person in your life.
Energy is just so
absolutely
like water fairy over here. Hi, hello.
I think that I feel like I've rejected having fairy energy, but I feel like I have fairy energy too. But I have it. I feel like I have a guide that's like a giant frog, and like is in this like fairy pond type area. So I feel like it's like one of those where it's like I'm like a helper or like a part of the fae community, but not necessarily like a fairy. I don't know.
If you were a fairy, I feel like you would be like a misty, like air and water, like kind of like over the water misty.
Yeah,
is what I'm feeling.
Yeah, because I do have like really cute, like sometimes I'm very Cancerian, and I'm like, hi, like how are you, like my gentle self. But most of the time I'm wearing like black with skulls on it. So,
that's what I was seeing, like a misty kind of vibe over the water, and then your elemental energy is just like rising, and it's like in this misty.
I could see it. My elemental energy is like pure transformation, because like the 8th house sun and the 12th house Scorpio in the North Node, like it's very that. So I feel like I have like that energy where I'm not scared of the things that people are scared of. Like, even in fairies and elementals and stuff. So I have started sort of working with fairies, because I've just heard so much, be careful, you know, this and so. But I feel like you can feel if there's an open for business like sign for you, like if you, especially if you have that energy, you've had it in a past life, whatever it is, you have a spirit guide, it's like you're allowed to, it's okay, like it's not as bad if you do this.
I feel like some people, it's just in our lineage, like
I think so.
And you can even see, like, I'm covering my ears because I'm wearing a hood today, but like you can even see it in like some, it's a little pointy ears.
I don't think I have pointy ears. They're kind of rounded. I can't move my head for the life of me to be in the right direction. I'm like,
but also it is just like an energetic vibe.
I feel like I always like elves, which is very fairy.
I feel like that's Blake Lively energy. She's
Virgo
like the
so
tall,
elf.
the Virgoan,
Virgo.
elven,
elf.
It's giving elf.
But, yeah, and I really badly, all the time I tell my friend who's a psychic, shout out to Danielle, when we're doing readings together, I'm like, I want to be an elf in my mind. So like I have little ears like to go. I bought them. I fucking crocheted an entire cape to be an elf at Renaissance Fair. And I'm like, but I'm 5'1". I am curvy. And then my friend Danielle is always like, no, like elves come in all shapes and sizes. Like you don't have to be long and lean and ethereal. And I'm like, absolutely not. That's only what elves are.
Yeah. Like there's a picture in my mind of what this frequency is.
It's like Legolas, you know? It's like we see it and then it's like, that's how it's portrayed to us. But I'm always like, in my mind, I think I'm a tall, slender elf. I'm like wearing like 6-inch platforms and like, yes, finally I'm an elf.
I feel like that is elven energy though. Like, and some people just, they have it. It's like,
I know. It's like the one reason why I hate my Aries placement is like, now I have a compact body. And it's like, damn, bro. Because I have Jupiter first house. I have Sag. That should be like big.
Yeah.
Like Cancer is like big. I even have like regular boobs for a Cancer. Like, what is that? What the hell? Regular boob, not big
I look
boobs,
like
regular.
A classic Pisces rising. Like, I look like a fish out of water. Like,
I feel like Pisces risings also have different color. Like, they don't have like brown eyes.
Yeah, I have green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have your Sag moon. You could see it with your thighs. You got that curvy.
I'm a little curvy. A little petite. A little curvy.
And then the Aries, you're so petite.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, Aries. Yeah. The only person I know who's like Aries but not petite is actually my partner's dad. He's Aries sun, but he's Sag rising. He's same big 3 as me. Astrology. He's Aries sun, Cancer moon, and then Sag rising. But he's like tall and big.
It's an Aries sun though.
Yeah, but his brother is an Aries sun and he's tiny.
Yeah. I feel like,
but he's also Virgo rising.
For Aries, that creates the aesthetic.
But he doesn't have angular features. Very interesting. He's more round. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So is there like the moon or something?
I forgot what his moon placement is. I'll have to relook it up.
You have a planetary energy around your ascendant, it can affect the way. So I have Pisces rising features, but I have Saturn on my ascendant too. So you can see Saturn in my face. Yeah.
Because I have Jupiter in my first house.
Yeah. And you could see that, right? The Jupiterian joyous energy
big,
and the
round,
jolly cheeks.
And the Cancer. It's like usually round face when you're Cancer. Man. I'm like, I can't wait till I'm 35 and my baby fat goes away and I have cheekbones.
We can do a whole episode on that where we go through all of the rising signs, go into like it's like physical characteristics, but also like we can do like personality stuff for each rising sign.
And I think that's more like my Jupiter in the first house is like I'm bold, very bold, and the Aries moon too. It's like I have like colored hair and like all that kind of I'm very bold. I just walk outside with mesh t-shirt on and no bra. It's like I don't care.
Do we want to do our mystery chart, or do we want to leave this as one episode?
I feel like let's do a separate episode. Okay. Let's do another episode. Okay, so let us know your thoughts on the Blake Lively.
Please.
We really didn't give you any definitive answer. Yeah, I mean, it's not for us technically to decide. We're speculating, and there's still like it's still unfolding.
And we want to do it from a place of like love, right? Because we, as source seers, understand we're all a part of source consciousness.
Yeah, we're not trying to be like, you're wrong and you're right. Yeah. It's like, I can see your side. Mutable Gemini Mercury over here. I can see both sides, right?
Also mutable Mercury.
Yeah, exactly. We can see the nuance of those things. Yeah. So yeah, let us know your thoughts. Let us know if there's any other controversies or things, even if they've already happened, that you want us to look at. There's like something on my nose. And yeah, we're going to do another episode with this mystery astrology person.
Like 2 mystery charts, right?
Oh yeah, 2 mystery charts that will make sense when we tell you why we chose them together. So yeah, come back for that. Those people are not in the same realm as Blake Lively. If you're like, who, I don't even care who that is, that's totally fine. But they're more relevant, like, well, they're still relevant. Like, I feel like Blake Lively's we literally had breaking news updates that we were reading while we're recording this. So, yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, Sourceers. We'll see you in the next episode.
Adios. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Sourceers. We can't wait to hear your take on all the magic we talked about.
Follow Sourceers on IG and all other platforms to let us know your thoughts and get involved in our community.
You can also follow Love at Love Sakratoff on all the platforms.
And Tylynn at Tylynn Mackenzie, or go to my website, templeradiance.com.
We'd love it if you could leave us a review on Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts, and share Sourceers with anyone you feel might benefit from magical community right now. Hail Jupiter!
Thanks for seeing into Source with us.
Bye!